Thank you, Steve and Congresswoman DeGette. Joining me now is Congressman Mike Kelly from Pennsylvania. He's vice chair of the Diabetes Caucus and a person with diabetes himself. He's also ranking member of the Ways and Means Subcommittee on Oversight. Welcome, Congressman Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm good to be with you.
Well, as you know, Congressman, politics is personal, and diabetes is personal to you. You're a leader on the Diabetes Caucus. Explain how it is personal and why you've gotten involved in trying to come up with solutions to this big problem.
I think the main reason I'm involved with it, I'm a type 2 diabetic. I had absolutely no idea that I was a type 2 diabetic. I was just going through life as normal and just kind of going along. And my doctor said, I'm going to run some blood tests on you, which they do quite often. And he called me up. He said, listen, do you know you're a diabetic? I said, no, I didn't know I was a diabetic at all. How should I have known that? And he said, well, there's a number of things that could be there. And we went through them. I said, well, I think those are things that almost everybody goes through, doctor. I don't see anything unusual about that. But he said, well, you are a type 2 diabetic. And then when you look at the data and you realize that every year there's 7 million people, they have diabetes, but it goes it's undiagnosed. So there's a lot of people who don't know what they don't know. And one of those things is they don't know if they're a diabetic. They're looking at life and kind of going through life and experiencing different things. But I think most of the people that are like me is they get up in the morning and they get up to go to work, and they go to work in order to take care of their families, and they work all day and they come home and they enjoy being with their families at night. I don't think they really think, is there something wrong with me where I wouldn't be able to do this every day? So the fact that there's over 34 million Americans with diabetes is really alarming. And then it gets down to, so why are you that way? Is it that you don't know how to take care of yourself? You're not watching your diet, or is it something that's just part of who you are? It's just part of your background, and it was passed down to you through your genetics. But it's quite an unusual disease, in that it affects some. Type 1 diabetics really have a serious problem. They face a much greater consequences than a type 2 diabetic. Seems to me the type 2 diabetic can go along through life, notice little things that are wrong, be able to kind of navigate that, but not the same consequences as a type 1 diabetic, where that really does force you into a situation where your life has changed dramatically because of the seriousness of the diabetes. So I always thought it was genetic, something was passed down to you. And in my family, no, I'm the only one so far that anybody's come back and said, I'm a type 2 diabetic too. We'd have no type 1 diabetics in our family at all. So this is something that's a learning process, I think, for most Americans. Look at what you do every day and try to keep it in perspective of what do you see changing in your lifestyle. And then look at your own lifestyle. Are you a person that's aware of being taking care of your wellness? I mean, are you watching your diet? Are you learning more about your diet? Are you exercising? Are you doing the things that we learned as children growing up, and especially when you got to high school with phys ed and health class? They show you the food pyramid. They show you everything about what you should be doing. But I think, Bob, when you don't have something you're facing every day that changes your life, you kind of take it for granted. That's, hey, I'm fine and I'll be fine, and I'm getting through life quite fine. But this is something that's very serious. And the main worry I think we all need to have are those who don't know what they don't know. And that's the big purpose of the caucus, to make sure we're getting that message out.
And that education is very important because, as you said, day to day you can get by, but people with diabetes need to know they have diabetes so they can assess that and their physician, right? I mean, because in the long term, that's a real problem. It could lead to real problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, again, we all have friends that have serious diabetic problems, which can lead, especially with the type 1. You got to be so careful as a type 1 diabetic. Most of my friends wear a device where the insulin is automatically injected into their system when the body recognizes that it says depletion. But the great thing, look, I mean, we can go back, I think, to the 20s or 30s, where 3 scientists at the University of Toronto actually discovered insulin. Now, this is going to be a shock to most people. They developed this and they sold the patent for insulin for $1 because they thought the value of this of this product was so important for mankind that nobody should profit from it. Unfortunately, not a lot of people feel that same way today, and we've been through a lot of different efforts. We wanted to get a generic substitute for insulin. We found out we just ran out of time on it, and the reason we couldn't get to it, my understanding from talking with the people in the administration, the previous administration, it was Mr. Kelly. You have no idea of how many lawsuits we would be in and how many years we would be tied up in court and how difficult that would be. What we're working on right now is a biosimilar, which is a product that's similar to insulin. We were looking for the generic substitute because it's the exact same thing as the regular insulin. We were looking for that, but where we are today is biosimilars are being developed, and we're trying to get to a point where that price of controlling your diabetes is affordable.
And that's one of the biggest problems, because you have, there's disparities and health disparities and all across the board, whatever disease it might be. But as far as getting the necessary treatment and the technology, is that one of the biggest problems here with people with diabetes?
But I think there's a number of problems. I think the main problem, I think, is the fact that there's too many people who are uneducated when it comes to what should I be looking for in my life that would give me an early warning sign that I can start to adjust and actually learn to live with this. That's why I said earlier, again, I grew up in a world where we had gym class and we had health class. The differences between the two is gym class was actually physical activity where you went out and you did something every day and you learned how to do different things. And even as you age, you were able to participate and keep yourself in good shape physically. The health class was more about learning how to build the food pyramid, understanding that what you put into your body has a dramatic effect on how your body is going to age as you get older and what you're going to be able to fight off your immunities and not be compromised. So I think a lot of this is the fact that you cannot be a sedentary person and expect that you're going to have a long, active life. You have to get up, you have to get moving. In a lot of cases, you get older, just get out and walk every day, do the things that we normally would do. Do those type of things, and then watch what you put into your body. Nutrition is an incredibly important thing, and a lot of it comes down to, please, if you want to live a long and productive life, take care of yourself. I'm an automobile dealer, and one of the things we talk about all the time when people get a new car, watch the alignment or your tires will wear out. Watch the tire pressure or your tires will wear out. Make sure you're changing the oil. Make sure you're taking a look at the transmission fluid. Why do we want you to do that? So that you'll get a longer term out of that vehicle as it goes forward. And when you do things like that, when you do this preventative maintenance, it's the same thing with us. It's the same thing with us. We are a machine. Whether we want to admit it or not, we're machines. The better care you take of your own body, the more likely you are to live a long and productive life and a happy life. A lot of it comes down to wellness. A lot of it comes down to nutrition. But that really comes down to how much do you care about your own health to actually take a look into it. This diabetes is a difficult and a horrible, horrible disease, but it can be managed.
And all of what you said as the last question is even more important during a pandemic, because COVID-19 is more deadly if you have diabetes, correct?
Absolutely. I think people have to understand that you have to be able to fight off whatever it is that comes at you. And the better shape you're in, the better health that you're in, the more likely you are to stay healthy and be able to fight off any of these different diseases that are rising. We're seeing all the variants with COVID. It seems like every day we find something new about it and something we didn't know the day before. But again, it comes down to, are you able on your own to fight off this disease? And a lot of it comes down to, is what we're talking about, Bob, is knowing from a wellness standpoint, how do I stay healthy? A lot of it is what you eat. A lot of it is getting out and exercising. But more than anything else, get informed and find out so you know ahead of time. There's nothing. And early detection means you're going to have a better connection and a better correction.
Our thanks to Congressman Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania, Vice Chair of the Diabetes Caucus.